is a handheld console, right?
Okay.
Will I in the moment, will I say what it is, or will I switch it out and put a console in there?
I don't even care.
I can put a console in.
No, I'd prefer if you just kept things the way they were. I prefer to hold on to Betrayal the way it was first day. I wouldn't like to change it. Don't even worry about it. I wasn't even thinking about it, so I don't mind.
Right. My number
Betrayal.
2
Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 6 of Preston Bun to Continue. My name is Keith, the boy who at 6 years old saved up every penny of spare change that I hid between the cracks of a sofa for an entire year to buy his first console, a PlayStation 1. And I'm joined by my co-host Nisha, who reveled in the murder of shooting digital ducks with the SNES Zappy gun that he still keeps under his bed for protection. That's right, today is a classic episode talking about the classic systems that define generations of retro gaming enthusiasts. Today we will not just be remembering the consoles that changed our lives and created core memories to last a lifetime, but we will be cruelly ranking them in order. We all know every parent secretly has a favourite child, and today we'll be putting that to the test. What console lit up our red little faces the most on a Christmas morning, and what ones made you question the love of your family? Find out today as we count down our top 5 retro video game consoles.
Man, every time I hear your intro, I feel like the first thing I say in every episode is, man, that was deadly. Because I fucking love the intros, man. I never know what to expect from them or what you're going to say.
It is the most kind of interesting aspect of the beginning of them. I actually think it's a really cool way to start the podcast, because I think it's a fun way to start a conversation, because you don't know what I'm making for them. So it creates this kind of like anticipation, and it sets a scene of kind of like what goes on in your head when I say it. So you're like, you know, you're conjuring your own images of your own memories when you're doing it. So it's pretty interesting that way. All right.
No, it is. It's really cool. And I liked hearing about that your first console was the PS1. And you even brought me back to playing Duck Hunt there, talking about the Nintendo Like one, the Zapper. What a cool accessory, and what a cool console. And Duck Hunt is, now that I think about it, like if I ever talk to someone who's, say, a non-gamer, or even someone who's like only into modern video games, if you ask them about like what's the first game or what's a really old, Duck Hunt is up there with like probably the most mentioned, alongside Super Mario. As you talk about what games do you remember playing as a kid?
Sure.
Like Duck Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because it's such a, when you think about something that uses something like a light gun like that as a kid, it's a 3D immersive experience all of a sudden. So you're almost in some form of like VR as a kid. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because you're not just sitting down, you're like actively moving a gun. You know, you're tracking it. It is, there's a peripheral that makes it 3-dimensional. So I think that like as a kid really like sticks in your brain. You know,
True,
it makes you feel more immersed because you're actually like shooting a gun at a space.
Yeah. And one thing actually, just on a side note about Duck Hunt, is that I only learned recently, and I think this is a common thing that a lot of people didn't know back in the day, is that, so you have the light gun plugged into controller port 1 or whatever, with your other controller that's plugged into port 2, you can actually control the duck, so you can make it a 2-player game.
I did not know that. That is crazy.
Yeah. So you can move the duck around. Now,
so then it becomes like whack-a-mole, I suppose, does it? Like one person is trying to like move the guy, pop up in a space, and the person's trying to catch him. That's very cool.
Yeah. I saw that online somewhere, and I was like, holy shit, that's pretty interesting. I didn't realise that. So today we're talking about our top 5 retro video game consoles.
5 is hard. 5 is hard.
Consoles are difficult, man.
They are.
Consoles are difficult to rank. I found this list difficult to make.
I found it very, very hard, because I think if you think a game represents like, you know, a memory and a time and space for you, a console represents fucking an entire chunk of your life.
Yeah.
Do you know, like it could be from 5 to 8 years. So like you're really trying to cast aside like, fuck, what am I picking in my top 5, you know?
Yeah, maybe that's why I found this list a lot more difficult to make than I did, say, our top 10 video games of all time. So That's actually a good show because it spans years as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to one kind of core memory group of this game. It's actual,
and it
there's
depends
so
on what's
much.
going on in your life at that period of time too. So like,
Yeah,
you know
true,
what I mean?
yeah.
Where like, say, a console might not objectively be the best, but you just had the best 5 years of your life as a kid during that time that
Yeah.
you associate with that period. So all of a sudden, it feels like a better console in your brain. you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
Jesus, that's actually a really good shout, man. Yeah, never thought about it like that. But before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to Once Upon a Quest Emma for coming on to the last episode and having a really, really fun conversation with us. That was a really good episode.
Yeah, people loved it.
It was, yeah, they did. We got a really nice response. It was our longest episode so far, which
And some
I suppose
said it
is
was
a
our
testament to the
funniest.
conversation. Oh yeah, yeah. So big shout out to Emma from Once Upon a Quest. You can check her out on YouTube. She
You
does
Or in your
Let's Play
spare
videos.
time, creating and murdering people in The Sims and
The
just screaming the
Sims,
word
yeah.
"can" all
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
place. You know what I mean? A little bit of.
Yeah. So be sure to check her out. And then normally what we do is when we're recording the podcast, so say for instance if this is your first time listening to an episode of the podcast, at the end we'll do the plugs, but I think we'll kind of mix it up and throw them in at the start. There's not a lot.
I need to stop you.
But yeah.
I just checked Once Upon a Quest's YouTube page. They have just hit 1,000 subscribers.
No fucking
get it.
way! Deadly! Congratulations, Emma. That's fucking
I told you we'd
brilliant.
get you there. That's all down to us,
Oh.
by the way. It was none of your
yeah.
own work. We put in
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that grind for you, okay? Don't take any credit to yourself, right? That was all us.
Oh, that is brilliant. I'm so
I was just
man,
thinking there, I was like, I
that's
had to
deadly.
check. I had to check.
Yeah, that is brilliant. I'm absolutely delighted for her. That's so cool. Very well deserved. Very well deserved. Oh man, that's after starting the episode off. on a fucking great note,
it
man.
makes
That's
you
really cool.
feel good vibes.
I love seeing other people in like the same kind of space, just in general. But I love seeing particularly people in the own area of the little small country of Ireland doing
Yes,
well, man. I think it's
100%,
fucking great.
100%.
It's so fucking cool to see.
It does.
So yeah, we normally do the plugs and stuff. So we're gonna mix it up and do them at the start.
We're living wild, baby.
We have started a new YouTube.
We have, which
what's
I'm
it called?
very
What do we-
excited about, by the
What do we
way.
call it? A YouTube season? A YouTube series?
Series,
Uh,
reactionary content on our press
Yeah.
the button to continue YouTube page, with
Yeah.
something I was very excited to do.
Yes. So we're reacting to Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which I'm currently watching it through Dragon Ball Z for the first time ever. I don't know the full story of Dragon Ball Z, and I'm up to season 4, so we're catching up to where
It'll
I'm
take
at
some
with.
time, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
so,
as in there'd be no fear of you catching up too soon. Do you know what I mean?
Right. That's pretty cool. So we have that new series on YouTube, and everything is in our link tree, so you can check out our Instagram page. Our
Subscribe,
Twitter
you
page.
fucking scrubs. Do it.
Yeah. Please do subscribe to the page or to YouTube because it's new to us, but we're really, really having fun doing it. So there's an Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the good stuff there. We do have a Patreon page if you want to support the podcast as well in that regard, which is very,
Which, by the
very
way,
much appreciated.
important to say about the Patreon.
Yes.
We finally have your Patreon exclusive stickers in the
Yeah.
N64 beautiful
Yeah.
sized stickers.
That are all like very close to cart accurate size for N64. Whereas the first time I ordered them, I made an absolute bollocks of it, and they came out like fucking mini. Like,
Oh my
I
God.
basically sized it in centimeters instead of inches. And
Dude, if I can
totally fucked it
find
up,
that
so.
audio clip on WhatsApp, we should totally save it and stick it in the part where I'm hysterically laughing at the fuck. So Nisha sent me a video of being like, just spent 150 fucking euro on these tiny stickers that were made for ants. I fucked it up. And I was just in convulsions. Like, the video was so perfectly done. He was like, so we got these stickers, which are great. And then look at this. And he had like, what was the size of a penny, I'd say, the sticker of a tiny
They're
N64
so
card.
small.
And which Nisha's used to hearing that phrase all the time, but and
It's true.
and it was just so fucking funny, man. Can you just imagine going to the effort, sizing something up, ordering it, and then missing like centimeters to millimeters or something?
I was so excited. I fucking spent all that money and
Yeah.
then
And Nisha as well, like, you know, is a man who wears his heart on his sleeve, so you always get like the exact, you know exactly how Nisha's feeling in a moment in time. So it was just so fucking funny, man.
But yeah, we have the full, which are very close to cart accurate size, Press Any Button to Continue stickers, which were designed by Ben from Laser Steak. Our
Thank you, Ben. Love you.
So you get
also
them,
speaking of Ben, he has his new T-shirts out, I believe.
I'm literally wearing it right now.
Show it to me.
And this is their logo. It's so fucking 90s. And
very
look,
cool.
we're not paid by Ben. We're promoting.
We are technically paid by Ben. You know what I mean? We're ladies of the night, man. He fucking gave us a couple of quid. You know what I mean? Like here.
He's such a fucking legend, man. He's over in, I think it's Birmingham at the moment, and he was texting me last night. He's at a pinball convention. And man, you should have seen the picture of all the pinball machines.
Unreal.
Fucking really, really cool. He's a fucking legend. You check out lasersteak.com, I think is the website, and check him out on social media. He designed our logo and our stickers and all that good stuff. He's really helped us out. But yeah, I'm wearing his new t-shirt and it is my favourite. I've bought, like, I think this might be easily my 5th Laser Steak t-shirt that I've bought. They're really fucking cool. But I'm after going off on a tangent so much there that I forgot what I was
good, man.
about. Oh yeah.
Where were the first 11 minutes in talking about Instagram, I think.
yeah. So we're plugging the plugs. So there was Patreon was the last one. We have those stickers, and then YouTube, and then also if you're listening on Spotify, if you're listening on Apple, please rate the podcast because it helps with showing us or getting us onto Discover feeds.
Would you like to see us continue on long term? Would you like to see this be viable for the future? Yeah. Do you want to hear us in your ears maybe one day if it goes really, really well? Would you like to hear us like every week? Do you know what I mean?
Hear us in your eyes.
You know what I mean? Do you wanna look at us on YouTube? Do you wanna fucking squeeze your titties together and go, you're the fucking hot? All you gotta do is rate it. It's free to do. You. Fine.
There you go. So please rate it 5 stars, and you can download it as well. So if you just want to download it, that helps everything. So they're the plugs. Shout out again to Emma, and then quickly before Emma Once Upon a Quest, quickly before we get into the topic of our top 5 video game consoles. Some news today, and this is a little bit of a different thing as well, is that the absolute legend himself, Charles Martinet, the voice of Super Mario in all the video games, has decided to step away from the role of Super Mario and voice acting.
End of an era.
Of Super Mario anyway. So what an absolute legend. I met him at Dublin Comic Con, which is a really good event that I went to last year. That was the last year's one that I met him at. And he was such a nice guy. Really, really had a quick chat with him. Really cool. Got some pictures, and he signed my copy of Super Mario 64.
That's so really cool to have now, even more, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
and he probably. Do you think he'll be doing cons still? I'd say not. It sounds like
maybe. See, I don't know.
Sounds like he's kind of retiring from the public eye a little bit with it. That's very assumption. That's a very assumption based to me, but. I wonder.
I don't know the circumstances around why he's stepped down, so I'm not sure whether he will.
Well, he's becoming an ambassador for Nintendo now. So
really?
Yeah, so he's going to be the Mario ambassador for Nintendo. So he's
brilliant.
He's gone even more up the hierarchy of like. So he's still working with Nintendo completely, but he's just not voicing the character anymore.
That's pretty cool.
I do have a theory about it though. I wonder has the success of the Mario movie with the fully voiced Mario inclined the idea that they want a fully voiced Mario in future games going on, and that they didn't want him, you know, as he was more of a sound maker rather than a full-on speaker. I wonder have they decided that they're going to want to take the... Because think about it, right? If you're smart, all these kids have watched Mario in this new movie. And it's the highest grossing animated movie of all time now already.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Well, up in the top 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And all these kids have watched it. When they play the new Mario game, wouldn't it be smart for Nintendo to be like, well, we need to make sure that he's something similar to... Because all these kids will buy the games who watched the movie for the first time. Because a lot of young people's first introduction to Mario now could be that movie.
Yeah.
Due to its phenomenal success. And then they're going to want to buy a product that relates to the movie a little bit. And I wonder, has there been a mix between him obviously getting older and just being like, you know, maybe wanting a change and doing something else, in between Nintendo kind of being, we might be going a different direction. would be my thought process on it.
That's actually a really good thought, man, because that makes so much sense. And I wonder then, does that mean there's the potential for like an RPG style Mario game, as in like...
Do you know they're bringing back Mario RPG, right? They're remaking it for the Switch.
Yes.
Yeah, so just making sure.
Yeah. So maybe that's like a little teaser, because they're remaking Mario RPG, which was a crossover of Nintendo and Square, or Square Enix, Squaresoft.
I didn't know they had anything to do with it. I thought...
Yeah. So hold on now. As far as I remember, right, Super Mario RPG was a crossover game of Nintendo and Square. So obviously they were making all the Final Fantasy games and the likes of Chrono Trigger and stuff. So they made a Mario one, and then I think what happened was after that, I don't know if they went like with PlayStation or something. Square Enix wanted to release Final Fantasy games in the PlayStation, and there was a bit of a falling out there, which is why there was the shift from Mario RPG to Paper Mario 64.
Because I always knew, because Mario RPG is basically very similar to Paper Mario. Like it is that turn-based kind of same idea. With the hammer was an RPG as well, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So
I wonder. Are they they're kind of testing the waters with re-releasing Mario RPG, and then they might delve into a full RPG style. And here's one for you: do you think would Chris Pratt be the obvious person to voice Mario if they release?
I imagine they wouldn't be able to. I mean, obviously they'd be able to afford it. It's fucking Nintendo, but Nintendo are always very cheap is the wrong word, but they're always very budget conscious. Like they're not making super powerful consoles that cost a lot for them to make. Like I'd say the markup on the Switch is brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like where the markup on a PlayStation 5 and a Series X, I think they lose money every time they sell a console.
Oh,
right?
really? Yeah.
So,
I didn't know that.
And this is the first generation as well, where consoles have gone up in price, not down. So the Series X and the PS5 have been out 2-3 years.
Yeah.
They're gone up from 500 on launch day to they're 550 now, or 560.
Oh,
so
Jesus,
because parts are so hard to source, and because the components they use are so expensive, they're actually they make their money on the software. I don't think they make their money on the consoles. Where Nintendo's big thing was, how do we leverage old technology? I mean, when it comes to something like the Game Boy, they use those old green screens. When they came to something like the DS, like everything they were using was technology that was like 10 years old, but they re-innovated it. Do you know what I mean? Like the Switches is like, similar to a power of an Xbox 360, a little bit more powerful maybe, in terms of what it can do. So they're all about like, how do we reformat? The Wii was just a GameCube. The last console they really worked it on was the GameCube, where I felt like they were putting in
the big jump. Yeah,
it was like more like they're using modern stuff, but they've been very good at kind of making maximum profits out of innovation rather than money. Do you know?
Yeah. I remember reading a thing, now whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it was like Nintendo could lose money for the next 100 years and still be good.
Sure. Yeah.
That's how much
the Wii U was kind of like, and the Switch is just a Wii U condensed. Do you know what I mean? They really...
Here's something for you. Did you? I heard recently that the Switch is closing in on being the greatest selling video game console of all time.
Hot on the heels of a PS2, yeah. Hot on the heels of a PS2. Man.
That's interesting. And
definitely.
Because you remember you mentioned before about how the PS2 took risks with games. There was so much variety. There was a fucking game for the crazy frog. Like there was so many games out there, game for everything, that maybe that's why it's so beloved, because it has the reach to everyone. Everyone's niche,
100%.
Everyone's thing that they're into. And I feel like the Switch has a fucking huge library. I'm always seeing games and I'm like, I have never even heard of this series. And it's like something fucking 7. And I'm like, holy shit.
A lot of JRPG stuff, like.
Yeah.
I do have a bit of an issue with the Switch for me personally. Like, I wouldn't put it in my top 7 consoles, let's put it that way.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Just because I got burnt a little bit with the Switch because I was such a loyal Nintendo person and I loved the Wii U. And for the first several years of the Switch, I had to just replay Wii U games. So, like, what was original on the Switch? Like, Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game. Mario Kart was a Wii U game.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers was a Wii U game, just ported.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country Freeze, Pikmin 3. These are all Wii U games.
Jesus,
just because they didn't sell well, that most people never played them because most people didn't buy a Wii U for it's new for them. So for me, who loved the Wii U and played all of them, I was burned pretty heavily about not playing any new experiences on it, right? And I'm not a handheld player. So what was I getting out of it? That I hadn't already got by being a loyal customer supporting the console when they were low down. Now, I think it's a brilliant, innovative piece of hardware. We can take it off. You know, it's a hybrid between portable and handheld. But I also think we came from the Wii U for me, which had a virtual console store. It had PictoChat where you could do drawings on the screen and send them to people around the world. It had all these different software pieces that were removed for the Switch. So what I ended up getting was a portable worse Wii U.
Oh, right.
So
like
for at least for a few years. Then you got like Mario Odyssey and stuff. And like so, but I would also understand though, if you don't have a Wii U, I could see why the Switch would be in your top 3 favorite consoles of all time. But if you're someone who had a Wii U, I think you're going to feel fairly burned by the Switch.
I am the person who doesn't have a Wii U. And but I totally get where you're coming from when you name those first 5 games, which are big heavy hitters.
Probably
on
the top
Switch.
5 selling games on Switch. They're all Wii U games. I
didn't even consider the fact that they are Wii U games, man. I didn't even think about it like that. That is a really interesting point. I wonder, and just on another note there, you mentioned Mario Kart. Like, when will they release a Mario Kart 9, do you think?
I don't know, man. It's literally been 10 years now.
That is fucking, it's like, it's the same with like GTA 6, is it? Is that what everyone's waiting for?
Yeah. So GTA 5 is also a 10-year game. Think about this, like GTA 5 has been on a 360, an Xbox One, and a Series X, all re-released. Not upscale, not like backwards compatibility. Like all 3 different versions of a game that you rebuy. GTA 4, I will argue, and I'd love to do a topic on a sequelitis where I talk about sequels that I think have been worse. I think GTA 4 is a far better game than GTA 5 by a country mile. And also GTA 4 had Ballad of Gay Tony and it had Lost in the Damned, which were 2 full story campaigns in the same city of Liberty City, right?
Oh, yeah?
And GTA 5 has no DLC. For 10 years it's been out.
Does it not?
No, all it has is online pay V-Bucks fucking to have your online shit.
Yeah.
So, and Rockstar, even though they've really shit the bed lately with the GTA Trilogy port, and they've shit the bed. Well, technically it's not them shitting the bed, but they obviously have the right to port what they want. And recently the Red Dead Redemption just port came out for Switch and PS4.
Okay.
So they've just re-released Red Dead Redemption, the first game.
Not cleaned it up?
Nothing.
Fuck.
So, and it's €50. Now for the Switch, if they just released it on the Switch, I would like almost look past it because the Nintendo's never had it. It's a portable version of it. I can kind of get on board.
Good point.
But they released it on the PS4, and the only thing that's in it is the fact it's a higher resolution, right? There's no other difference.
Right.
Well, there might be slight textures. I've watched videos on it. There doesn't seem to be. And my Series X, I can take my 360 disc that's over there that I can buy for a tenner in CX, and I can put it in and we'll render it in 4K.
Fuck.
And like they're charging you £50. Now, this Nintendo do it all the time with like the likes of Skyward Sword. Yeah. And they re-released that on the Switch, etc., etc. Also, I have a huge fucking problem with the Switch that everything's a goddamn port. Name me 3 original Switch games.
Odyssey.
I'll give you Tears of the Kingdom because that just came out. That's 2.
Oh yeah. That I can't, man.
Everything's like a Wii. Like there's a lot of JRPGs you could name, but like if you're talking about first party Nintendo games, like the new Pikmin has just come out. That's the only thing I can think of. Man,
why don't we just call it now? Our next episode is sequelitis. Okay. Because I feel like this conversation we could go on here for I know. I'm enjoying the conversation, and I feel like we can really delve into it.
We could have an episode called Sequelitis and the Problem of Ports, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sounds like a Legend of Zelda game.
yeah, it does.
No, 100%. I think that's a great idea for the next episode, man. What do you think?
Well, yeah. By the way, sequelitis is a term robbed from Aaron Hansen of Game Grumps. He did a little cartoon series on it, just in case anyone thinks that word is mine. It's not. But the idea we could definitely do.
Sweet. Right, well, will we get into today's topic of our top 5 video game consoles?
Our top 5 retro video game consoles!
Oh, again, it was a difficult list to make. I do have some honourable mentions to do afterwards, but I have my 5.
You want to start with? Do you want to start? We'll do the honourable mentions when we get to number 1. So we'll do 5, 4, 3, 2 honorable mentions and one, like Mojo
okay,
does.
Yeah. That's a good shout. That's a good shout.
Okay.
Do you wanna kick it off, or shall I go?
Well, I'm gonna do the thing and then you go. Okay, so I'm gonna go number 5.
My number 5 is a fucking great console. 16 itty bitty titties. The Sega Mega. The Sega Mega Drive.
I was thinking there you're gonna say,
Sega
and I don't want to
Genesis.
look at you, but I assume the Super Nintendo's got to be close to the top for you. And I was like, there's no way he's gonna put it at 5. The Sega goddamn Mega.
I hope it's 16-bit. I have it in my head that it's a 16-bit console.
I think it is. Yeah.
The Sega Mega, the Sega Genesis, as people in the States would call it.
Would you prefer the name Sega Genesis, or do you prefer Sega Mega Drive?
I like Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah.
It's because of it's what I've grown up with it being called. I think Genesis is a cool name, but I really do like the Mega Drive. Like I never owned a Mega Drive as a kid, so I would play it when I'd go up to the north of Ireland and stay in Belfast in my cousin's house. They always had Sega consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember playing it so much. I have so many funny memories. Man, I probably have mentioned this before, but I remember my older brother Aidan and my cousin Kevin were playing FIFA World Cup on the Sega Mega Drive, and they had their electricity was like prepay whatever, so it was on a meter, man. And they got to like the World Cup final. No fucking joke, man. They got to the World Cup final. I remember sitting there watching them play it the whole time. They got to the World Cup final and the electricity went.
That is
and they were like crying.
That is the most Irish thing
funny.
I've ever heard, man. The fucking electricity went.
Yeah,
oh my god,
so funny, man. And they couldn't save it. But there's so many. That was so good, man. There's so many good games. Obviously, the big one is like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for me.
Yeah, I feel like Sonic 2 is the pivotal Sonic game.
Oh,
and also,
so good.
Can we just like slap some serious titties to the greatest? And I want you to put this in. I'm sorry, but the greatest fucking song of all time is Chemical Plant Zone. It is such a fucking bop, man.
Oh yeah,
Chemical Plant Zone in Sonic 2. It's go do 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 do.
Oh yeah. What a tune, yeah. That's a really good rendition. I don't even need to put it in. Keith, you're doing it. Keith's broken.
Imagine a fucking sexy sax solo with that song, man.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Oh, dude, I've gone so fucking...
That was really good.
Dude, can we please write it down? We need our top 10 best music soundtracks from video games. That's such a crazy idea that we haven't done. Put that on in there. I know I've gotten excited. I'm so sorry. But I'm fucking going to scream. I'm going to fucking give out to you. You're annoying them. Hang on, let me hear this in my ear. All right.
Right. Are you listening to this in your head? This is when I edited it in so the listeners can actually hear it as well. Hang on. He's gone. That's such a good idea for editing in tunes. Keith has his headphones up to the mic. That's such a good idea.
Here we go. Slap it on Anisha, let's go! Come on, everybody in the disco!
Are you alright? Are you okay?
Oh, I'm all good there, yeah, thanks, sorry. That had to be done, man. I was fucking feeling so much.
You look at, man. You feel it. You fucking gotta let it fly. That man, what a tune! What a tune! I will edit it in. I will edit in the music so people can hear.
You probably, as you said, you probably don't need to.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah. But you know, one thing I've noticed when I'm editing in music, right, is I'll edit it in on my laptop here and I have my headphones in and it sounds good and it sounds loud. But then when I listen to it on like my fucking phone or something, the music part drops down. I wonder what that is.
Could you hear the song when I put my headset to the mic? Like clearly enough?
Yeah.
Because maybe I could just
think
do
it sounded
that.
great.
Maybe
I think it sounded great.
No editing needed. I mean, the laziest way is the best way.
Or just play your fucking phone, man. Hold on a second.
Hang on now, yeah. What the fuck are we thinking? Why didn't we do this years ago? See, I do think maybe the headphones might sound better in a weird way because it's condensed into an ear like a microphone because this might have a lot of bleed, but that could be.
Right.
Let me try it from the mic. This again, okay?
That sounds good to me.
Like, how good is that?
That sounds great, man.
Does it sound like perfect?
Yeah, it does. It sounds really good. I feel like I want to leave this in.
Yeah,
Sonic 2 Chemical Zone. Sorry, I'm going onto YouTube now. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Does it sound good?
Do closer. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. So here, me and Keith have discovered the laziest way ever. Work smarter, not harder, folks. Yeah.
Now, it wouldn't be like us to start our top 5 video game consoles and we're 33 minutes in and when you got to say number 5, Sega Mega, and then we went off on a complete Chemical Plant Zone tangent.
Right, so we're after coming back. Me and Keith just totally spiraled there into how can we play music through the mic so we don't have to edit it into the podcast. So if the conversation jumped a little bit, it's because we totally went off on a tangent for about 4 hours there. But here's a little side note. Sorry, Keith, I have to say this because this is down to how clueless I still am when it comes to editing videos and stuff.
You've come a long way, man.
So when I did a few YouTube videos on my own YouTube page, which is just me sitting down on the couch talking, it's very, very chilled. It's nothing.
But do check it out, because I mean, people might be curious to see your humble beginnings.
Man, I actually haven't even watched them in.
Is it Retro Gamer Ireland on YouTube?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think there's about 10 videos there. It's very chilled. Very chilled. It's from a few years ago.
Remove them and put them up on Patreon. Always make content.
Well, should I put them up on the... No, because it's all... Look, I was going to say, I put it up on the press any button to continue page, but we wanted that for us. That's an us thing.
Yeah, well, you can do... I mean, I don't mind either. Whatever.
Well,
anyway, we're getting sidetracked again. We're getting fucking sidetracked
They're
again.
up on the internet. But what I used to do was, because I didn't... All I did was chop the video at the start and at the end to where I started talking and when I finished talking. But I basically had an iPad behind me, and I'd open up Spotify or YouTube and play music and just have it sitting behind me and hope that the music would bleed into my mic. And that was the underlying, like, so it wasn't just a quiet video and I just talk. So that's how it used to work. But yeah. But the Sega Mega Drive, the Sega Mega, Sonic 2, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Columns, the fucking Alien game, so many great games, man. Really, really fantastic console. A Sega Mega, our first meme when you called it the Sega Mega, which I fucking
died
loved.
at, yeah.
That was so funny. It still is, and everyone uses it now when they're talking to me about the Sega Mega Drive. Everyone says the Sega. Even Emma said it in the last episode. The Sega Mega. It's so funny, man. And it also, for some reason, actually, the Sega Mega Drive now. When I think of the Sega Mega Drive, I always think of Ben from Lasersteak because his collection is just outrageous. But he has a Sega Mega Drive that he found somewhere, right? And it's so fucking retro, man. It's so nostalgic because it has all the stickers. So whoever had it at the time, a kid, I'd imagine,
it and all
had
their favorite stuff.
but they're Sonic the Hedgehog 2 stickers.
That's class.
From like the 90s, man. And it is the coolest looking console ever. It's so fucking cool.
It would be cool if we get a photo of that, actually, maybe.
Yeah,
for the cover
I'll ask him. Yeah, I'll ask him. Yeah. That could be a fucking really good cover art.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, I'll ask him. But the Sega Mega Drive is number 5. Again, it is a really, really good console. It's not higher on the list because I didn't actually own one, even though I do have a lot of memories playing them, and I've played a lot, and I do have one now, and I love it. But I didn't have one, so the Sega Mega, Sega Jega, the Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive is my number 5.
My number 5 is also a Sega console. the Dreamcast.
Man, number 5? I was expecting this to be a bit higher in your list, man.
You see, I had to really, this list is so hard because I had to really contemplate how much time did I play it. Like, I love it to death. I think it's so cool. I remember the memory of getting it when I was younger, and it was my 8th birthday, I think. Was it 8? I think it was my 8th birthday. Yeah. And I was like begging for a Dreamcast. It was 1999, I think. And or 2000, and I was like, oh please, like I want it. And I remember he was coming home late from work, and I remember I was waiting for it, and he came and he's like, how are you getting on, happy birthday? And I was like, he didn't want to say where is it, like where's the Dreamcast? And I was like nearly bawling, crying, waiting for it all day. And he was pulling, he's fucking busting my chops. He had it in the boot of his car, and he was waiting to bring it in, and I was like, where is it? Like, oh, you messing? I got it. I was like, yeah.
Deadly.
And I remember Sonic Adventure. I remember turning it on for the very, very first time. I hooked it up to my parents' TV, and they were watching it with me. And there was this song that played when you turn it on, right? Yeah. And it was by Crush 40, and it sounds something like this. I'll see if you can hear it, right? So imagine me turning this on, right? It goes. Right.
So the headphones are up to the mic again, by the way.
It's a little weird.
It is weird. Oh, here we go.
Right, it starts coming in. You get some drum beats.
Yeah.
And then this changed my life now, this part here. We'll see if it works out or not.
Right,
and then it comes in fucking butt rock. Here we go. And I had zoomies running around the room. I was like, what the fuck? I was like fucking being Sonic. I was like, losing my mind. I don't know if you heard that, but
I could hear it. I actually just realised, so you had your headphones up to the mic there for the listeners. Another good idea for episode art for this episode would be, or we can even just use as a picture on socials, is a picture of your headphones over your mic, like your microphone is wearing your headphones.
I'll make it like a little cool, classy looking thing. Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. But what a console, what a game.
So ahead of its time.
What other games?
Power Stone, Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi.
So good.
Oh my god, what was it? Shenmue? Shenmue. The greatest fucking game of all time.
Yeah, that's on my
Power
list,
Stone 1 and 2 is a fighting game. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, like those fucking games, the butt rock, the music. A lot of the games were ported to GameCube afterwards because Sega and Nintendo, once Dreamcast was their last console, obviously, it was their swan song. It was a CD player, it was online, it was 128-bit. It was just fucking the most powerful, insane Keep in mind that when the console first came out, its direct competitor was a PS1, which was 32-bit, and this was 128-bit. And then the PS2 came out a few months later and fucking destroyed its titties.
That's crazy.
But like
that jump.
My biggest sadness is that I wish Sega was still in the console market. I wish there was a fourth competitor. I wish they were still doing it. I'd love to see what they would have came up with. Yeah. I'd love to see how they would have made Sonic games if they were making it for their own system. And having those digital display memory cards as well just blew my mind.
Yeah. No, man, fucking the digital display memory cards are really like mini Tamagotchis when you have your chows in Sonic Adventures.
Fucking
so good. Man. Here's a game on the Dreamcast that I'm curious about. I've never played, and I think it's a rude or lewd game, judging by the name, but it's Seaman.
What?
Or am I just being like a dirty man?
I don't.
Or am I just being dirty and thinking that?
Okay. No, Seaman. Seaman. Oh yeah, and it's a really weird thing with a human face and a fish. I'm just looking it up there now.
I always assumed it was something.
Oh
dirty.
my god! And it looks like it has one of those remote vibrators that goes into a puss that attaches to your console. Like you know the way like catfish have those little dangly ball things in the ocean.
Yeah.
It's like one of them. This is disturbing. Jesus, have you looked at the Seaman character?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
he's got like a weird willy thing coming out of his head.
Yeah. Looks fucking crazy. I just always thought the name was some sort of rude joke. Do you know what I mean?
It probably is. I mean, it looks disturbing, but I mean, also, it could just be a seaman.
True. Maybe it's just my fucking filthy mind.
Squirt your dirt, baby.
The colour, I love the different colour variants of the Sega Dreamcast. Again, a console I didn't have, but my cousins in Belfast had.
Do you own it now?
Playing it up there. I do have one now, yeah. My brother Aidan actually bought me one for my birthday, and
Cool.
with a copy of... He bought me a box one, man. My
Fuck.
fucking brother Aidan is such a fucking legend. All my siblings are, man. They're so fucking cool. But he bought me a box one with a copy of Crazy Taxi. Just because I mentioned it on the fly, and he went and bought me one. Like,
cool.
he got me a Master System as well, man. A box fucking Master System. All my like core gaming memories start off with my brother Aidan, so he's an absolute legend. He doesn't listen to the podcast, so he's not going to hear this praise, but he is he's a glorious human being, as are all my siblings. But the colour variants of the Sega Dreamcast, I think, are so good.
Which, I mean,
man.
they are amazing, but they weren't really for regular sale for the most part. Like, I mean, I don't remember. I don't think in Ireland we ever got anything outside the
really?
grey white
It
one.
was,
No.
Yeah,
I think a lot of them were
even
like
the black one is so fucking nice, man.
Yeah, so hot.
With because the logo stands out, pops so much on the black Dreamcast. It's fucking
gorgeous.
Yeah. It's really
Damn.
So, yeah. Damn.
Number 4.
Right, this one this was a bit difficult to put this at number 4, and if we ever do like a looking back episode, I would probably change my mind, but I'm just gonna say it. Feels wrong to put it at number 4.
Looking back,
the Super Nintendo.
Oh, I'm surprised it's not higher for you.
I know,
But
at the
this
moment,
has made this list far more interesting for me now, and I think for the listeners it'll be far more interesting too, because I would have said top 2 for certain, if not top 1.
Yeah.
But I can already kind of figure out a couple of other things. But yeah, let's hear it.
So, like, the reasoning is I'm kind of being stubborn with my number 1, and I feel like I should really move on, but I can't. So the Super Nintendo is probably the console I have played the most as a retro video game fan. So I kind of got into the older games about 9 to 10 years ago, say, was when I got my Super Nintendo back, and I got a Super Nintendo, got into it. And I've probably played it the most with the games that I've played, like large games like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3,
Still have to play
Super
Chrono
Mario
Trigger.
RPG, Earthbound. Now, these aren't all games that I own physical copies of.
Sure,
by
but
the
you
way.
played
I've
through
played
them
on the mini consoles that you.
Oh, that
or on
totally
the
counts.
Switch
Like, I mean,
online.
at the end of the day, if it's a Super Nintendo game, it's a Super Nintendo game. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
attribute it to the mother of the Super Nintendo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But there are some
birthed it.
games like Secret of Mana I played on, I think, on the SNES Mini, and then I loved it so much I had to buy a copy. But the likes of fucking Chrono Trigger and Earthbound are just totally out of the realms of my affordability, so I'm never gonna get them. But I played them on the mini consoles, which is I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's a good experience.
I thought the mini consoles are really good. The way you still get the feel of the original controller.
Yeah. And controllers are an interesting thing to mention when you're talking about your favorite console as well, because I suppose that is a big part of it.
Yeah, 100% it is, yeah, absolutely. But the Super Nintendo growing up for me was just such a fun console. Obviously the big games like Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, I can remember one of my best friends had. I can remember playing it in his house.
Yeah, a lot of classics.
And just, it was at a certain age, and I think the SNES came out around 93 is what I have in my head. So, and in 93, I was 7 years of age. So it was a real, like, there was all the magic and mystery to Super Mario World. There was the fun of Super Mario Kart.
Perfect age to, like, understand it and kind of absorb yourself in it too. It wasn't purely just like, I just want to play this for 5 minutes to distract myself. Like, you were old enough to be into it.
Of course. Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. And I just remember the mystery of it all, the retro rumors that would be flying out around. Shout out to our season 1 episode 2. Little plug there. Sorry.
A little butt plug inside.
A little plug.
A little anal bead sliding through you.
You know what? Sorry, I was going to say something there.
Do it. I want to hear it.
Oh, man. Years ago, this is totally nothing even to do with fucking video games.
Does it do with butt plugs?
No, it's kind of though. We were out at something years ago, and one of my friends, who is an absolute liability with the words that he says, commented on someone's necklace and was like, "Why are you wearing anal beads around your neck?" And we were like, man, will you fucking stop? Sorry, but the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo reminds you of
the Super Nintendo
pearl
just
necklace.
At the time, I like one serious memory I have, man, and this memory will live with me forever. Is me and my best friend at the time Jono, who is still a very good friend of mine, would go and stay in my granny's a lot, and we'd have the Super Nintendo, and it would always be set up upstairs. And my granny had a little CRT TV in her bedroom, and we'd set it up, and she'd put on a Goodfellas cheese pizza. And we'd have a pizza upstairs, and we'd play Super Mario Kart, and we wanted the boat to come in first. So we were playing 2-player. We both wanted to come in first
at the same time.
and we try and get it. Yeah. We go, you come first in one race, and blah blah blah. And I remember us trying it so much.
I've been trying to do that for my sex life forever, and I tell you, it's always. I tell you, I'm about 3 laps ahead of the other person every single time.
But I just remember trying it so much, and just that memory, like that's a really with the Super Nintendo, that's a really strong memory.
I just fucking want to sometimes want to curl up in a ball and just go back to
the past,
having a takeaway pizza and playing the games and just being cozy.
Yeah,
man. And
not a care in the fucking world when you're that age, man. Not a care in the world. Yeah.
I read something really interesting actually in a comment section. They were talking about nostalgia, and it's funny now. Kids are talking about, I want to go back to 2009. They were like Christmas in 2000, and to me, I was like 18. You know, I mean, like 2009 feels like not long ago, but for them it is, because time is all relative. And they're like, nostalgia is like the best and worst feeling in the world. It's like a punch in the gut of love. It's like, do you know what I mean? Because it's like you yearn for it, and you it's almost like missing someone. It's like you remember, or it's it's almost like positive grief. It's like, because if you think about it, it's almost like remembering someone who you loved or something, and you miss them, but you're also like remembering the times with them, which fills your heart. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a melancholy, but it's also like a lovely. Absolutely. It's a warm melancholy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do totally. You're absolutely right. It's another reason why, right, is because it's impossible to get back there. We'll see the future eventually. The future will happen. It's happening right now, and it just happened again. But the past is the past, and unless you've documented that past via video, photos, whatever, it's gone. It's in your head, and it only lives in your head and other people's heads. So I feel like that's why it's such, as you say, like, it's a beautiful thing, but it's also a punch in the gut, and you're like,
it's also a dangerous thing, I think, as well, to a certain extent, because you're trying to, you're not, obviously, like, the key is, like, you want to be present in a way and make the best of your today, and when you yearn for a time gone by, technically, it does nothing but make your current situation worse in ways, right?
Yeah.
But obviously it's lovely to visit it. I always think there's this very, it's almost like fucking, it's almost like you got to be careful with nostalgia sometimes, right? You want to visit in it, but you don't want to make sure you live in it, right? And I think there's been an interesting thing. I had to move home recently for a month. And I found myself like kind of going around my old neighborhoods and kind of almost getting in this, almost like purposely kind of going down in a nostalgia trip to bring up emotions and stuff. And it's nice to visit, and it's like this really strong emotional feeling, but you also realize you can't stay in it either. You have to like take trips to it, and you have to come back. You know what I mean? Like you have to make sure you come back from it too. And I think it's interesting, like when people surround themselves with their collections too, because you are kind of making an armor to the outside world. You are creating, like when you have your little setup room, you are kind of creating your own castle, your own fort of nostalgia to protect you from outside as well. And it's lovely to go in and recuperate your batteries, but then you also have to go back out of it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a real fine balance of not getting lost in it, but visit 100%. It, regain your batteries, and then go back out again, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%, man. That's a really interesting thought. I love because of your background with psychology and what you've done in college and your degrees and stuff. I love when you talk about things in a way that my brain just can't go there until you word it to me, and then it can go there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way you're talking about nostalgia there, I love when you get into things like that. And people have actually said that to me, that they love when you can word things different because you're a trained professional. So your brain thinks a little bit more into things, or you can understand things a bit better. It's it's just very interesting. I just wanted to say that. But I do also think that, I know there is, like, people might think, say, for instance, if you're really into retro, it's like you just want to live in the past. You just want to live in the past. But then there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of retro video games that I've never played that are brand new to me, which is what I always say is one thing why I love retro video games. I love the style of them.
Sure.
I don't just want to live in the past. I want to discover new old games. So although it is, if it's a childhood game,
sure,
it's totally nostalgic.
It's going to elicit the feelings.
I played fucking Chrono Trigger for the first time ever. I'd never played it.
I played Silent Hill 2 and Banjo-Kazooie for the first time in the last few years and adored them. Do you know what I mean?
There you go. So, yeah.
I think video games, there's elements of video games that are timeless like music. And we said this actually during the live podcast at Gamerfest. I was talking about how, like, and every generation has this, right? And there's a lot of hypocrisy around it in terms of, like, back in my day, things were better. Right, and that relates to everyone's generation in terms of music, the TV they were watching, any art they were absorbing. Because it's not that things are better or worse, but it's the same way when people look at content creators sometimes and they're like, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, I miss the old PewDiePie, or I miss the old. Yeah. You don't miss the old PewDiePie. You miss who you were when you were watching it. It's nothing to do with you miss what you were when you were. You know, they haven't changed. You've changed. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, for the most 100%. Part, do you know what I mean? I
actually heard someone, who was I was watching someone said something very similar to that, and I totally agreed.
Jacksepticeye, maybe? I think he was
it was. It was Jacksepticeye said something very similar to that, and I was like, that makes so much sense. It's, you miss who you are at that time, and that makes so much fucking sense, man. But again, there is also, like I'm saying, it's for retro. It's not that I'm just trying to live in the past.
Yeah.
There's so many thousands of games that I've never played. I've played like fucking 5 games on the Dreamcast. Like, the whole library is totally new.
When we were teenagers, I'm sure you might have been the same, but like there was a stage where you discovered like Led Zeppelin, and you were like, this is it, baby. You know, like, right? And they were bands that existed way before we were born. Yeah. So, you know, and you get into them because they're like, you know, what it is. And it's funny because I walk into CX and I see young people come in all the time. Yeah. And they're like, oh, Pokemon on the DS. I wonder what this is like. Or I see,
Sorry, man. No, sorry.
No,
sorry,
go for it. That's kind of my point.
Something happened yesterday along this line, right? So my cousins were over, right? And my cousin's kid was having a look in the front room because I've a few consoles of it, a Super Nintendo, an N64, a GameCube, and a VHS player, right? So my cousin's kids were in the front room looking at the consoles, and one of them picked up a VHS, a video of Pokemon, and was like, what's this? And it blew my fucking... First of all, she didn't even know how to open the video the video box, right? The VHS box.
She didn't know how to open it.
She was like, what do you do with it? What do you do with it? And I opened it and I showed her, and she was like, what is this? And I think she's around like 14ish or something.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, but do you not? And then my cousin came in and was like, sure, look, like, they wouldn't even see DVDs because it's all streaming now. 100%. And I was like, it makes so much sense. But to me, it was just like, fucking hell, this is wild. That
did she know what Pokemon was, though?
Yeah, of course.
But isn't that an interesting point to the testament of time that this thing existed on a tape medium and it's still prevailing today? Like, how good does something have to be, or how right does it have to be made that it still exists? You know, fucking 30. Well, geez, how old is Pokemon?
1996 it came out, so nearly 27 years.
Nearly 30 years.
Yeah, crazy, man. Another thing we were trying to explain to them about renting movies in Extravision, Blockbuster, Advanced Vision, renting videos. Where I was like, you'd go down on a Friday, you'd either have one, you'd have to look at the box, you'd only get what's in the back of the box, and then you'd have to bring it back the next day. And they were like, what do you mean? And but how do you know what it's about? I'm like, you look at the box, but it doesn't say anything on the box. I was like, it says loads on the box. It doesn't say enough. I was like, it was so cool, man, to get that
genuine reaction of like
someone,
of something that existed like 15,
and it's just they just
of
didn't
something
know.
that existed fairly popularly 15 years ago, that to them is like, which makes sense. And this is why I go back to as well, right? And this is why, and this proves my point perfectly. Retro is a state of mind from where you are and how old you are. Because to a lot of people, DVDs aren't retro, but to them, it's a medium that is archaic, that doesn't exist. Of course, it's retro to them. It's completely
100%.
about your life view, how old you are, and where you're from. A 1 million percent an Xbox 360 to them is a fucking machine from 200 years ago. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, The Last of Us is
Thank you. Round of applause.
And I'm going to finish on Super Nintendo at number 4 on that point.
I haven't even got to my number 4, Nisha. I haven't even got to my fucking number 4.
Oh, go ahead.
Fucking number 4. We just use the episode idea at this stage just so we can start an episode, just so we can talk about what we really want to talk about. It's purely just cover art for something completely clickbaity.
Oh, I love it.
My number 4 is the Nintendo 64.
Oh, brilliant.
Obviously, you know, this was hard because this order is fucking rough for me. But I like Mario 64 is I think my favorite game of all time. I mean, it kind of shuffles sometimes. Nice. So it's weird not to have it higher considering it's my favorite game of all time. And Ocarina of Time is a goddamn belter. Diddy Kong Racing, Mario 64. Now that I named them out, I should probably move this higher. Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong, a fucking Perfect Dark. You know, now that I really... Super Smash Brothers, Mario Party... Mario Tennis, and now that I name it, I think I've made some chronic mistake here. So it's fuck. I think the only reason it's a lower on my list is because those games, I've enjoyed them more in my later years than I did when I was younger. So
really?
At the time, I appreciate them more and I play them more and I love them more now. But at the time, God, maybe it should be higher. But anyway, you see, the problem is, I was about 8, 9, 10 in the N64 era, and I feel like my love for video games only enhanced as I got older, maybe 11, 12, 13, 14. So those years I'm a bit more ingrained in it. Otherwise, I think it would be higher.
Right.
But why don't you give me your number 3?
My number 3 is one of the most interesting consoles, I think.
Wait, hang on.
Because of the
Did you include handhelds, by the way?
I do have one handheld.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is that okay?
I mean, sure.
Did I just dog you there?
No, it's fine. I just feel like I fucking basically have my asshole spread, gaped open, and you're looking down the eye of it, and you just turn the other way. Do you know what I mean? So it's fine.
That wasn't my intentions.
No, it's fine. It's okay. It's it's fine.
My number 3
No,
is...
it's okay. It's fine. Honestly,
I just realised that we had
a
a conversation the other night.
No, honestly,
and
it's fine.
You said about handhelds.
Don't worry about it. It's
And you said put them on a separate list.
Don't even. It's fine. You know, you listen to me. It's okay. It's
I'm sorry.
No, it's grand. You know, it's one of those. It's fine. I mean, I'm not even bothered by it. Some would say I don't even.
You don't seem bothered.
I don't even care.
Number 3 is the PlayStation 2. It's not a handheld. It's a console.
Yeah, that's great. I suppose the PSP is on there as well, is it?
And I'm just going to put one game out there and I'm going to move on from the PlayStation 2 because we're going to have to do a full episode on the PlayStation 2, as we probably will have to do for all these consoles actually. But I'm currently playing through Final Fantasy X, and that game, man, I didn't realise how much I loved Final Fantasy X and how nostalgic it was for me to start playing through it. It is one of the best video games I've ever played. It's one of my favourite video games of all time, and the story, the design, and one thing that is blowing my fucking mind with Final Fantasy X, which was released on the PlayStation 2, is that I'm now playing it on a new modern TV. I got a new TV recently, and I am playing it. I downloaded it on the PlayStation 4, and I have a copy of it on the PS2, but for some reason I can't find any PS2 controllers, and I have like 2 or 3 PS2 consoles, but I have the PS2 version.
PS1 controllers work as well, just in case you have a PS1 DualShock.
Fuck off. Do they? Oh yeah, I do. No fucking way. Thanks, man. Yeah, I do. 100%. That's brilliant. But what's blowing my mind is that I'm playing it on like a 55-inch telly, right, is the design in that game.
The art.
It is beautiful. Now, it is the HD remaster that I'm playing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's still the original art for the most part. It is
beautiful. And what I keep thinking about is, when I'm playing it, is when people were designing this game, they were probably still using a little 12-inch fucking telly, I'd imagine. Maybe a 17-inch or something. How would they have been able to see all these fucking...
Dude,
you could never appreciate the art, but for the normal person at home, like when I first played the PlayStation 2, when I first played the PlayStation 2 and Final Fantasy X, I was on a CRT TV in my house, and it was, I don't know, 17-inch, whatever. And you know, you can collect the Albed primers to translate the language of the Albed in Final Fantasy X.
What the fuck?
They're kind of scattered through.
Oh, that's the language in it, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
it's the language. It's the language of the Albed. They're scattered throughout the game, and they're just sitting down on the ground. They're little books, say, right? And I remember, I even had a guide. So I had a magazine with a guide telling me where to find them. Even when I knew where they were, I couldn't see them on my telly because of the quality. And I just press X. I'd walk around, keep just pressing X continuously until it popped up that I found it. And now I'm playing it, and I can see them as clear as day. There's that book sitting over there on the ground on the counter.
Yeah, all the stuff you missed through the quality. But there's also this point that art always trumps graphics, number one, right? Yeah. Always. Right. Like, if you have bad art, the game looks shit no matter what console it's playing on, right? But number two, right, like, it goes to the Wind Waker art style, right? It goes to everything, right? Like, you make something that is like... the art works for what you're designing it on, and it looks a million times better. But it also, this problem is actually enhanced in modern day ages, right? Because you're looking back, Final Fantasy, look at all the stuff they missed. People now have to design 4K textures, the most detailed pieces of rocks to make them realistic, and people are just running by them and will never take a second glance at them. Yeah, so someone spent 5 months working on one room that you spend 5 seconds walking through, and you might not even take credit to it, or you might not look at the roof, you might not look at the designs they did up above them. Think of Naughty Dog games like Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us 2. Think about the amount of environmental storytelling they tell by making a kitchen with used noodles and whatever else they ran during the emergency, and a PlayStation 3 in the corner, and all these details that you know, we were talking to Emma last time about how you loved her playthrough and how she spends time looking at the details. For a lot of people, they might have spent 3 seconds in that room.
That's man.
And that's
fucking hell.
And that's how much effort someone goes to put in just 3 seconds of a game that you wouldn't even notice. Do you know what I mean?
I have, because I've never thought too much into the background when I was growing up with video games. I have a newfound respect for people who actually create, develop, design and make video games, because fucking hell, exactly your point there of someone might spend 3 months making that level, that room, and you could spend 3 seconds and not even appreciate it.
And it gets worse. Think of open world games. Like, I finished Tears of the Kingdom, and there's 2/3 of that game that I still haven't experienced.
Holy shit.
Do you know what I mean?
Holy shit. That is fucking crazy.
So there's still like hundreds of missions that I didn't even touch as a player that like, you know, they spent ages designing and you as a player are not experiencing. Yeah. The same with them, like any open world game really, but also think of the stuff like certain events, right? So like they have to program that's a bit of an exaggeration, thousands of lines of dialogue just in case you go to one corner of the room, so a character says, oh, look at this, and if you don't, that never gets heard. The voice acting, there's the art, there's the room, there's music that will play if you only do a certain thing, and they say we have to create 100 different scenarios for one room. Like, so Naughty Dog do that. They have 100 different lines in case you go to a certain corner that will activate based on what you're looking at, and if you don't, it doesn't activate. So he's like, we spend years developing stuff that people won't even see. Yeah, and it's wild.
Insane, man. Oh, that is crazy. I actually an episode on video game design. This is
another one. I've never had such an episode of this podcast where it has never not felt so about, like, we talk about a console and then we go into like a really deep subject. It's the most interesting episode in terms of our topic versus where we go when we say a console.
I love it. I
love 100%.
We leave that freedom of our conversation.
100%.
But with the PlayStation 2, Final Fantasy X, Metal Gear Solid 2, I can remember the first time I ever saw it. Oh my god. GTA Vice City, GTA San Andreas. I also enjoyed playing the Matrix games on the PlayStation 2. So many great games, and it had DVD player in it. You could stand it up, you could sit it down. You could bend it over. What a fucking console.
You could fucking rail it, yeah.
I'm going to leave it there. PlayStation 2 is my number 3.
My number 3 is the GameCube.
Again, you're after surprising me. What the fuck is your number 1? Holy shit. I was sure. I was 100% sure the GameCube was going to be your number 1. I was 100%, man. There wasn't a doubt in my mind.
Really? No.
Fucking hell, man. That's so cool. So go on, tell me.
GameCube, man, I told the story, but I remember buying it, picking it out in Smith's. I remember this is where I started getting into video games, as the console itself was a piece of super technology. I must protect it, I must look after it, I must keep it ventilated, I must make a nice stand for it, I must, this is when my love for video games was really turning into, like, that I had a piece of art in my hands that I was to take care of, and I got Luigi's Mansion. I like you can't understand the Luigi's Mansion intro. If you watch it again, it still looks impressive. The graphical leap on the polygons and the characters from an N64 to a GameCube was outrageously incredible. The games on GameCube look far better than the PS2 games for the most part. It is that much more of a powerful console. But you're talking about Wind Waker, which is my favorite Zelda game of all time. You're talking about Resident Evil 4, which is one of my favorite games of all time. You're talking about Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is arguably the best Super Smash Brothers of all time. You've Mario Kart Double Dash. You have Super Mario Sunshine. I don't know if I just mentioned that.
So good.
And then there's Pikmin. There's like just so many. Like there's Twilight Princess, which is also a GameCube game, not a Wii game. Just like there's just so many fucking games, and I remember playing Mario Party 4, and also Sonic Adventure 2 got re-released on it. The first Sonic Adventure as well. So like there's just so much shit that I love on that. And it's a beautiful little box that you want to shag every little port in, rub its nipples, tiny little disc that you just want to put in, the Game Boy player that attaches to it, the fact that Game Boy Advances could plug on into it and use it as like controllers. Fucking unreal. And that's all I'm going to say.
That's cool. That's enough for me, man. You shocked me with that one.
All right, so are we on number 2, is it?
Yeah.
Number 2 for Nisha.
Right, my number 2, right, before I say it, is a handheld console, right?
Okay.
Will I in the moment, will I say what it is, or will I switch it out and put a console in there?
I don't even care.
I can put a console in.
No, I'd prefer if you just kept things the way they were. I prefer to hold on to Betrayal the way it was first day. I wouldn't like to change it. Don't even worry about it. I wasn't even thinking about it, so I don't mind.
Right. My number
Betrayal.
2. My number 2 is the Game
I thought
Boy
we were
Color.
friends.
The Game Boy Color, man, and Pokemon.
Sure, the Game Boy.
Red,
That's the Game Boy Color. That's
blue,
a handheld system,
yellow.
is it? That's something you put batteries into and you walk around with, isn't it?
It's not a console. Hold on. Is it a console?
I suppose. I mean, or is it a handheld?
you.
Okay, hang on. Is wow. He's trying to turn. Is a Game Boy a console? It's the first thing that comes up.
Gaslight you here.
It's a handheld game console. It counts as a console. But it counts as a handheld game console.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I don't think it actually belongs in this list, but I wrote out the list and I can't change it. Keith has left. I'm only joking. Right, I won't spend too much time on this because it technically shouldn't be
because
there.
You shouldn't, and because you betrayed me. Betrayal.
I can't believe I actually fucked this up. This is
you
like
actually didn't, by the way. I'm pretty sure we talked about we could put them on. I'm just like doing a bit.
All right, but this is like the time that we were doing our couch co-ops episode, and I had 2-player games and not couch co-ops and all of my list. But look at the Game Boy Color, playing Pokemon Yellow, and the nostalgia around it, the different Game Boys you could get, all the different colours of the Game Boy Color, the look, the feel of it. The only thing
any other games outside Pokemon on the Game Boy that you can remember off the top of your head?
Super Mario Land, Link's Awakening. I played Last Action Hero, DuckTales, Tetris, Gargoyles, fucking.
It's just funny how far ahead Pokemon was, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, incredible!
Like it's like an open world fucking collecting monster RPG turn-based game. Like
something I saw the other on Twitter was apparently the developers had a decision to make. They could either put in 3 save files or nicknames for Pokemons. So they had the option to If they put in nicknames, you can have one save file. If they put in 3 save files, you can't nickname the Pokemon. And they put in the nicknames, which I never used.
So interesting.
I would have preferred it.
I think the nicknames are probably the better choice for most people though, because for the most part, obviously, other save files for having 3 different Pokemon journeys would have been very cool. But also at the same time, I think having something personalized always makes people feel more emotionally connected to something. But I know we had the same thing where we're like, we want to do the proper Pokemon adventure like Ash did, and we didn't want to nickname the Pokemon.
Yeah, but also if you only have one save file, it's more important to you. So that's your one thing, your decisions.
Yeah,
if you let a Pokemon go, that's it. It's gone.
I'm picking the first 3 you're picking is far more intense once you know you can't have 2 other save files with the other 2 Pokemon. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but one thing, the downfall for me with the Game Boy Color is the fact that it doesn't have a backlit screen.
Yes.
I would love to get a modded one. I will one day, but
or you could just play everything on an SP.
Yeah, I like the feel of the Game Boy Color. Do you know what I mean? I'm just a bit of a fucking oddball. So, but that's I'll leave it there because we'll elaborate on a top 5 handhelds. So. Go on with your number 2.
From that betrayal, how can we possibly continue? Number 2 for Keith is the PlayStation 2.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's it's one of those things that even though, because I got the PlayStation 2 later on and I was always a Nintendo person, but Dragon Ball Z Budokai, goddamn, if there's nothing I love more than Nintendo, it's Dragon Ball. And it was like one of those things that now it did come out on the GameCube later, but it launched on the PS2, and I was like, I just fucking like my obsession. I'm still so obsessed with it, but like my obsession was so intense for that show that I was
with
like,
Dragon Ball.
Yeah, that I was like, I have to get a PS2. So for Christmas, I was like, I want a PS2 and Budokai, and I remember. And this is an 18s plus podcast, so spoiler warning if you have kids in the car, you know what I mean. I'm just kind of.
I thought you were gonna say Dragon Ball.
No. This is so for not ruining the magic of certain festivities. Please hide your youngin's ears now.
Yeah, turn the podcast off now.
Yeah.
Actually, don't. No, leave it on.
Yeah, fucking I
Kick
know.
your kids out of the car.
Maybe this is the way you want them to find out. Maybe they're like my sister. My sister found out about the ruining of the magic of Christmas when she was way too old. Like
really?
Like 13 or 14 or something. And she found out because the teachers just said it in school, and she came home bawling, crying. But like, I mean, sure, fucking hell, you have to fucking. There's a certain age where
no, man, this terrifies me because I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I'm actually getting emotional thinking about Christmas. So now we'll move on because I just love Christmas.
Okay, Christmas is great, man. My parents still celebrate Christmas the same way. The whole Santa thing still exists.
Brilliant.
But anyway, so I remember, and I was like, this is what I want for Santa as my Santa present, even though I knew the whole diddly fiddly. So, but then I found where they hid the PlayStation 2 and Dragon Ball Z Budokai. So anytime my mum would leave the house, I'd run in and just look at it. So I couldn't open it, but I'd look at the box, I'd look at the game, and I was losing my mind. And it was the proper original PS2 as well. Which I have a big love for the design. I don't like the super slim or anything like that. I just love the original PS2.
Yeah, it is really nice.
So I was like fucking obsessed, and Christmas morning I fucking played the shit out of it. I was like, Dragon Ball Z Budokai isn't like a great game, but like I made it a great game. You know what I mean? I was fucking obsessed. Then games like Devil May Cry 3, absolutely adore. Vice City, Shadow of the Colossus, Jak and Daxter. There's there's just so many good PS2 games. All the Resident Evil games are on it as well. I mean, all the Capcom games are on it. Like, I will say Sony probably. I'm not. I love the PS4 and I love the PS2, and I've retroactively loved the PS3. For going back as a backwards compat. I feel like, and the PS4 is a fantastic system. And then I feel like the PS5 for me just hasn't grabbed me in the same way the previous generations have. But the PS2 feels very core to a Sony Japanese PlayStation identity, and it elicits that feeling, and I love it.
Yeah, no,
that's all I gotta say.
Cool. No, 100%. Look, we talked briefly about it with my.
We'll do an episode. We'll do an episode on it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Number one for Nisha is. I know what it is. You don't need to tell me. Will I just do it for you?
Go on, do it in a Dragon Ball Z episode. Find out.
Last time on Dragon Ball Z, Nisha managed to find his top consoles and betrayed Keith in the process.
Top 10 anime betrayals.
But his number one surely will be on the next episode of Press Any Button to Continue, the Nintendo 64.
The fucking N64, man. What a console. Ocarina of Time has sealed it as number one.
Yeah, if Ocarina of Time didn't exist on the N64, would it be your number one?
No.
Okay.
No.
What would have replaced it? Your number two, I guess.
Do you know what holds it up there as well? Diddy Kong Racing for me.
Yeah. I think I might
Diddy Kong Racing.
I think I'll probably have to do a full playthrough of Diddy Kong Racing on stream. I'm really want to do it.
I only completed it for the first time last year.
Yeah, and I haven't completed it before.
It's a very difficult game,
Yeah.
but I highly recommend playing it through to the very end. Diddy Kong Racing, one of my favourite, and again, I can remember the Christmas that myself and Aidan got the N64 and we got Diddy Kong Racing, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about how happy that made me feel, and still makes me feel when I think about it. And the game itself, Diddy Kong Racing, Ocarina of Time, we all know Ocarina of Time. It's my favourite video game of all time. It's beautiful. It's one of the most well-known video games of all time. Diddy Kong Racing is up there as well, but Diddy Kong Racing I don't think hits a lot of people's top lists, but man, I fucking love it. I love the fact that it's
a far better single player experience than Mario Kart 64.
Oh, way.
Because it actually has a single player experience.
Yeah,
do you know
it
what I mean?
does. It has the adventure mode. Yeah, you've got multiple vehicles. You're collecting your balloons. You have boss battles basically, which are races. The power ups are cool. The character roster. Again, I love the fact that it introduces Conker from Conker's Bad Fur Day
as not
Banjo,
and Conker, before he was designed as a drunken Conker, was still a child's character at this stage.
Family friendly, yeah.
That's
Banjo
so
from Banjo Kazooie, and then what we only copped when I was watching you on Twitch. Twitch.com/Steamy_streamers. When I was watching you and on Kick stream Banjo Kazooie, we noticed that Tip Top, the turtle, was in. Remember that the classroom in Banjo Kazooie where you have to jump on the turtles, and that's Tip Top from Diddy Kong Racing.
It's crazy.
And Banjo Kazooie, and there's so many games on the N64. Actually, sorry, now that I think about it,
Pokemon Stadium as well.
Yeah, a game that I for some reason never got into. Pokemon Snap though. Holy fuck, Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap's the game I only got into as an adult. I somehow passed me by as a kid.
I remember the day getting Pokemon Snap.
Do you? Yeah.
I was in Virgin Mega Stores with my dad in town, and I saw it, and I remember just like the box art. There was something about buying the boxes for N64 when they were sealed in the plastic, and they were chunky, they were heavy, they were like every Nintendo 64 game felt like a special edition by the way it was packaged, because you had this beautiful cardboard box art. It was weighty, you had the cartridge, and the manuals were always thick. And it was beautifully wrapped in the Nintendo seal of quality sticker around it, so everything felt very. But I remember getting that, and I would say Pokemon Snap is one of those very emotional games for me in terms of the feelings. It's there's something so innocent about the game. There's something so mystical about the game. There's something so unusual about that game being a game. Yeah. That like I remember just being in my room playing it on my CRT. And being very relaxed and feeling very safe playing it. And there's a very like...
It's so relaxing.
There's a very like... It's a very just like... innocent game is the only way I can describe it.
100%,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. I'm the exact same. So relaxing playing through that game. Really, really loved it. It passed me by as a kid somehow, but in later years I got a copy of it and I fucking adore that game. It's the most chilled out gaming experience I think I've ever had. Yeah, it's just so fucking good. There's so many games. I think I might have actually said, I think I might have been a bit too hesitant to say the N64 wouldn't be on my list, because
your number one spot, I mean.
Yeah. There's so many great games on that console that I have such strong feelings for, because I was a teenager at the time playing. It was that age of kind of growing up, and I remember playing all these games and just the magic of it all. It was just, man, the N64, and I love the controller. I love the different variants that you can get, which I only kind of discovered in later years. Again, we only ever got to like the standard one. and I just have so much love for the console, so much love for the games, but the memories around it, like the memory of myself and Aidan getting it at Christmas time, the Ocarina of Time being my favourite video game, Diddy Kong Racing, all the fucking
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye, yeah, it's so good, everything. And there's other consoles as well. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to think, like, there's so many memories. And
You know we're going to have a Nintendo 64 episode, so don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, but it's just, I think Ocarina of Time is what sealed it at number one. But now, when I think more into it, there's Diddy Kong Racing. You know, the more I think about Diddy Kong Racing,
It's
man,
like a masterpiece.
the more I think it's up there as, like, it's almost, and this is, I'm surprised myself by even thinking this, that it's almost on par with Ocarina of Time.
It's just such a different game.
Favorites.
So I think for me, like, depending on the genre, like when you put games at the top of your list, like if you have a racing game and like a Zelda game, like, you know, they can coexist at a top spot. You know what I mean? Like in a different country. Yeah. Anyway, we get on to the last one?
Go on, go for
My number one. Do you know what my number one is?
I think so, but I want you to say it because I might be wrong.
Okay, my number one is, and it was released all the way back in 2006, the Xbox 360.
Fucking hell, that was released 2006. For some reason I went to 1996 there.
Yeah, it's almost 20 years old.
I love the way you're hammering that home, because I know what the fucking gatekeeping pricks are gonna think of this being number one. Fuck them, Keith.
Dude, I am 31 years old, and I got this when I was 14.
There you go. I was, man.
It's a fucking lifetime away.
There you go.
If you can't count that as your nostalgia retro growing up at your peak years, that's over half my life ago.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Anyway, I don't need to fucking justify myself to anyone. You fucking
gatekeeper.
Fucking wankers. Fucking suck your dick. So here's the deal. The 360, like I can lay this out. Important console of my time. I hated school. I hated what I was doing. It was one of my only reprieves in my life. I met some of my best friends in online gaming through the 360. Like, just listen to this. Gears of War. Halo 3, probably the biggest launch and the biggest multiplayer. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. The orange box with Half-Life 2, Portal, Team Fortress 2, which is one of the greatest things of all time. Alan fucking Wake, Bioshock, the Fallout games, Dead Rising, Red Dead Redemption, GTA 4, like all the expansion passes for it. Like, and just the fact that, like, it was the online play, the online store, all the arcade games that came with it as well. What? Like, so there was it was called like the 360 arcade on the online store, and you had all the old arcade games on it too.
No way.
Yeah. So you had all the old stuff as well. The achievements being brought in for the first time, your gamer card, your gamer score, your reputation. Were you an underground player? Were you a friendly player? Where you all these different things you had in your tags. The backwards compatibility with all the original Xbox games in HD.
No way.
Like, I don't like the original 360s. Obviously have the red ring of death problem with them, but I have like a glossy 360. It's not the very final iteration they have, but I'll show it to you there. It's really beautiful.
Go on, show it to me. If this takes too long, I'll cut it out, but if not, we'll leave it in. Keith's, after getting up off his chair, he's going to find the console. I have a couple of Xbox 360s in the attic that I haven't fired up in a long, long time. They probably have the red ring of death. This
to me, it's like, obviously, this thing will never break down, but it's just like, it was the original one, so it has, what it is it's
oh yeah, that's fucking nice, man.
And it has, so the later editions were matte with no chrome, so this is the chrome finishes on the top, and it's the chrome button and the chrome disc tray, and it's just like
slick.
Yeah, it's just got that nice kind of
holy
matte
shit,
finish to
that
it,
is
really nice.
That is a handsome console.
Yeah, really, really nice.
That's really nice.
So like this, like to be able to play all your Xbox and your 360 games. There is a couple that you still need the original Xbox for. It's not 100% backwards compatible, but it's pretty good.
I'm surprised that the OG Xbox isn't.
I considered it, but I was like, I played the game, right? When I thought about the original Xbox, and I adore it, but Halo 2 is probably one of the most life-changing games for online multiplayer, and it was one of the most life-changing experiences as a gamer playing online for the first time. But I played so much. Well, I know it's an Xbox original game, but I played so much of it on the 360 too. That
Right,
if like because it was backwards compatible, you still play online.
Yeah.
So like until Gears of War came out, Halo 2 was still the most online played 360 game until Gears of War took it over.
Oh,
And then
yeah?
Halo 3 took that back over. So yeah, just the Xbox 360, all the trailers I used to download on
console.
it, the first HD system, like just everything about it was just fucking amazing.
I just realised that my Xbox 360
Oblivion.
experience- Oh, man. what a
Another one,
game, yeah.
another one. Skyrim.
Yeah, man. So, was Skyrim on the 360?
Yeah.
Was it?
PS3 as well, mind you, but a lot of those games I mentioned were also PS3. But I mean,
That's crazy. My Xbox 360 experience was totally different to yours because I didn't have
The
it
online.
connected to the internet, and I also had it via a SCART lead, not a HDMI cable, because I was playing it on a CRT, and I still loved it. The game that jumps out for me is the Lego Indiana Jones and Star Wars games.
yeah,
So,
and the Harry
man,
Potter
just-
ones as well were really, really fun.
Yeah. I remember
Um,
moving out of my home for the first time, and I moved in with a few of my friends.
I
And had an
fucking love the
Xbox
360, man.
Yeah,
I love Xbox.
yeah,
Like, fuck. And the fact that the Series X has a 360 inbuilt into it,
yeah.
just like, that's like even more beautiful. Do you know what I mean?
It's great, man.
Yeah.
It is. It's so good. Again, it was like it was a comfort blanket for me when I moved out of home for the first time, and playing it on the shitty telly.
Yeah, because I mean
So
because you were like 18 when I was 14, right? Are you 4 years older than me?
Yeah, I am 36 years old at the moment.
Okay, so I'm 31. So yeah, maybe like 4ish, kind of 5. So you
Yeah,
might have been
yeah.
19 or whatever. So it's like
Yeah.
the different age categories. I think obviously the age when you're like 12, 13, 14, 15 is probably whatever you were playing then probably really holds strong in your
Yeah.
head,
Yeah.
Obviously
Yeah.
later on too. But I mean, you got to understand, if the 360 lasted my formative years from the ages of 14 to the ages of like 20.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like there's some like important years that
They are absolutely.
that's there for it. So
Sonic 06.
that is a cursed
I remember
game.
playing that.
Mhm.
I remember playing that on my 360.
Yeah, fuck
What
me.
a game.
I
Man.
mean, it's the worst. It's the worst Sonic game of all time, but it's also the best.
Yeah, it's the best Sonic game I played on the 360 anyway. So
Yeah, what else was there? Sonic Unleashed. I don't know. There's a few other stuff. But anyway, that is our
Top 5 retro video game consoles.
man, I really enjoyed that list because your list totally surprised me. I was 100% convinced that the GameCube was going to be number 1, and I was also 100% convinced that the OG was going to be Xbox was going to be number 2.
well.
So it was.
I have
interesting.
forgotten to do my honorable mention, so I will.
Yeah.
I will put
Go
a
on.
couple out in there. But obviously, recently, like the PS3 is so much higher for me now. But I've only gotten it like properly. Like that backwards compatible model is like a work of art. It's so fucking gorgeous.
Sorry, did you not have a PS3?
I got a PS3 just for The Last of Us in 2013, and then
right.
the PS4 came out a couple of months later. The Last of Us was squeezed at the very end.
Yeah.
And it came out a year
Yeah.
later on the PS4 again then.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay.
Like, and I did play like one or two other things, but like it was purely for that game that I got it.
It was the PS3 actually.
So I have the
took me away
PS3
from
super
Xbox.
slim. Yeah, you were saying that because you got it for the
Yeah.
Blu-ray player, I think. And
Yeah. And then I just got hooked on the games.
I do have some handhelds in here. You'd be happy to know.
Go on.
Like the Game Boy Advance, probably I put ahead of the Color just because of of an age thing. I was playing and the Pokemon and Metabots and Sonic games, and it were so good. I think the DS is a phenomenal system.
I never got into it. Man.
Fucking
I can't
so
appreciate. I don't know
cool.
why. I
So
just can't
cool.
get into it.
You never know. I couldn't appreciate the PS3 for the longest time, and now I do. You know, it's just sometimes
There you
something
go.
takes you,
Yeah.
and you have it. The original Xbox obviously had to be in there as well. Obviously, if we were doing consoles of all generations, the Series X would probably be very close to the top as well, and I would say the PS4 would be very much so up there too.
Yeah. Me too.
Like I'll put the PS4. I mean, I still feel the PS5 is harping on a lot of its PS4 success, so I'd be curious to see how that works. The Wii I enjoyed. The Wii U I enjoyed. There's a lot of stuff there.
Jesus, I didn't even have the Wii in. I don't even have the Wii in my honorable mentions for some reason. Considering it's such a good console, my honorable mentions are, and it did kind of. This is why I found it so difficult to not put the Nintendo NES into my top 5. when Super Mario Bros. 3 is one of my favorite video games of all time, and it's the first video game or first console I ever played. I have so many great memories, but I don't know. It's just in the last few years, I've played the NES Mini and I love that, and I played NES games on the Switch. But I can't. Every time I get a fucking NES console, man, it's broken. I've like 3 NES consoles and I can't get them working. So it's kind of like tarnished my, at the moment anyway, my love for it. Now, I do have some nice CRT tellies out the back that I'm going to try and hook up to one and maybe fiddle with it and try and get it working. But it's just, I've been unlucky with the NES over the last few years playing it myself. Now, but which maybe is why it wasn't in my top 5. But I do love the Nintendo NES. I do love the Sega Master System, Alex Kidd, Sonic the Hedgehog, really, really cool console. The PS1, man, the fucking PlayStation 1. Like, again, it's like this list, we should just do it again and just have 5 different consoles because they're all up there. Like, the PlayStation 1 is so fucking good. The GameCube, which again I only got into in recent years, the GameCube, and I fucking love it. Wind Waker, the most beautiful game of all time, or the best aging game of all time. And then I have down the Dreamcast, purely based on Crazy Taxi, because and House of the Dead, actually.
Yeah, very cool.
Really, really good game. And then there was a game where I remember just playing this demo. So there was a demo disc that my cousin had, and it was like you're on a skateboard, but it was a hoverboard. And you do tricks and stuff, and I remember just playing the same level over and over and over. I can't remember what the game was.
It obviously wasn't Jet Set Radio. I don't think it
was, but that's
very
cool. my honourable mentions. So man, that was a fun episode.
It was. We hope you enjoyed, and also make sure to check out our new YouTube channel. Our new YouTube channel, Press Any Button to Continue, where Nisha is watching for the very first time Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and I am reacting with them as someone who's watched it before, but as someone who's just watching the series and now watching the comedy version of that show. If you do enjoy it, please do check it out. Like, comment, subscribe, diddle fiddle. Please, and if you enjoyed this podcast, like, Cream Dream, share with a friend, and do all that good stuff as well. Yeah.
And then before we go, we did get a question in on Patreon that we have to read out. Yeah. And it is from Gareth, Gareth.g.m. And he said, my question is a little different from the topic of the podcast, which is basically our whole conversation is different from the topic of the podcast.
Nothing to worry about.
I wouldn't worry about that, man. He said, you're getting banished to a tropical island. You can bring 1 console and 3 games. You will be alone. What are you bringing? 1 console, 3 games.
You see, the thing is with this, I don't automatically pick my favorite games because I think about this more deeply. That I'm like, what's the game that has the most replay value, right?
Longevity,
because I'm like, fuck, what can I keep playing over and over again to enjoy, right? Like, what's gonna be long? And it's very tough. I mean, if you have to bring 1 console and the games that go with it, Jesus. Do I have online connectivity? Can I play multiplayer games?
No.
Okay.
You're on desert islands, I'm going to imagine.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we have no electricity either, do you know what I mean? But sure, we'll fucking plug it in somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, you're on a desert island, you have no internet, but you do have a plug socket.
No, that's fair enough. Multiplayer games are cheating.
I'm telling you.
Fuck, Jesus. Like, God almighty, fuck. The 1 console makes it so much harder. If you just say 3 games, I can.
Do you know what my console is that's coming to my head? Well, I go while you're thinking.
Do
the Super Nintendo. I'm gonna bring Super Mario World. I'm gonna bring The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and then I am going to bring Super Mario Kart. That's my console and my 3 games. Because I feel like I can literally play those games forever and ever and ever and never.
See, a racer's a good idea.
Yeah. Because you can just constantly try and beat times. You can do all different characters and their times. You get a few months out of that. You know what I mean?
I'm going to bring the... Fuck it, I have to be smart about this. I'll bring a Series X.
Yeah. What?
Does it have to be retro? Did he say retro?
I don't know, actually.
Oh, well...
I'm gonna say I'm gonna give you a cut-off limit, right? But
okay.
You were banished on this island in 2006.
Oh, fuck! That's fucking suits you perfectly all of a sudden though, because you just picked your games. Oh, Jesus, fine. I'll 2006, so I can't play Minecraft or anything.
No, you're fucked.
I'll play. Oh, fuck, I'll bring Oblivion. I'll bring a 360. Fuck it.
Oh, you clever bastard.
I'll bring
Go on.
Oblivion. I will bring like Forza Motorsport 2. These are such weird games to be picking, but I'm stuck to a console, so I have to pick the other ones on it now.
Man, you get weird.
And I'll bring the orange box.
Half-Life.
Well, it's Half-Life, Team Fortress, Portal in one.
You're fucking... No. You have 3 games.
That's a single game.
No.
Yes,
No.
it is. I will
No.
fight you tooth and nail
You
on
could
that.
bring a fucking Sega Mega Drive and get the cart that has 12 games in one, but
You
I
could.
didn't.
You could, and you fucked up. That's your
Now
problem.
I'm fucked. And now
You
I'm
were
stuck on
silly.
another fucking Super Mario Kart.
It's 3 discs, 1
Fuck's
console.
sake.
3 discs, 1 console. You go. You'll probably. I'll definitely if you have to survive a new anyway. You know what? The orange box wouldn't last that long. I mean, it's Half-Life. Portal's finished in half an hour, and Team Fortress have no one to play with online. It's technically a terrible choice.
Fuck.
I
Thanks,
actually
Gar.
I don't know. Anyway, you've made us hate each other, Gar. So I don't know what
Yeah.
you've done with that. That's all
Let's
your
just
fault.
fucking
More
end on that.
betrayal.
We're
All right.
coming to get Gar.
Bye.
Bye, Gar.
Betrayal.